Hey everyone, we're back with the next part of the Huggingface model to AWS Sagemaker deployment with ZenML series. This particular video is going to be focused on the promotion pipeline, which is pipeline 3 out of 4 pipelines that we are setting up for the entire MLOps process for this particular example. Here, if you remember, we have had a feature engineering pipeline that produced our data set, which was then consumed by the training pipeline, which produced our models and our tokenizer. And we were all tracking it in the model control plane and correspondingly storing it in Hugging Face. Here, what we're going to do is we're going to run a pipeline that will simply compare, using the model control plane, all of the metrics that were produced in all of the pipeline runs, find the best one, maybe compare the latest one, and mark the one which is the best in terms of accuracy, let's say, as your production model. So that stage is production. And this will then be used in downstream pipelines so that we can deploy that production model. So this is really interesting. It has a lot of moving parts. As I said, the promotion logic is something very arbitrary for every business. So you can also take control over this and edit the code base that you have. But let's go over to the code and actually see how it performs. So I have my pipeline. I can do the run now. And as it runs, it's just going to go through all the steps, query the model control plane. Maybe just as a small note, you could also use MLflow to store the metrics, your experiment tracker in the stack. So for advanced users, in this particular case, what we've done in the code is every time the training pipeline has run, we've just used the metadata field of the model control plane in ZenML and popped in the most relevant metrics so we can compare it downstream. So that's just a small note for those of you who were wondering. So you can see the pipeline has ran, it's spat out a bunch of logs. And if I go over to my cloud control plane, suddenly, the previous two versions are now converted, like the best one is chosen and it's tagged to the production stage, which is a very important tag in the entire system. And then you can go back to this and you can see that this works pretty good. And we have the version that we think is production. Excellent. So now we can go on to the last part of this entire tutorial, which is the deployment pipeline. See you next time.